Hello, hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome to Flip the Script, a podcast for my millennial creatives and artists and spiritual entrepreneurs who are ready to be the director of their own lives. And if you see me here, I'm just smudging some Palo Santo, clearing the energy in the space. And my purpose here is to help plant seeds and activate you and help you shift yourself into your highest, most abundant, most fulfilling timeline. And the only thing that you need to do right here and right now is just be willing and decide that you are ready to live a life that turns you on. And my name is Angie, and I am a mindset and energy alchemist coach. And I am here to have the deep conversations with you and your highest self. So today's episode is called The Journey of Self Love. And we kind of dive into my story, my journey of loving myself because I wasn't always as confident showing up here on camera talking about myself and my experiences in my life or anything like that. Like I wasn't always this person. And I think that it's so important to share our stories, where we were and how we become to this point in time. And that's what I'm here to do today, to share a little bit about my journey of loving myself. And so let's begin. So definitely loving yourself, is something that I definitely struggled with growing up. Just because looking different, having curly hair and going through puberty, I was definitely considered to be a late bloomer. And I definitely went through a period of my life of just tearing myself apart. Like, I really did not embrace all of me. And, you would think, like, wait, but you have beautiful curly hair. Well, my curls weren't always like this, first of all. This was very recent that my curls have blossomed into the way that they are. And it's just because of the journey that I have gone through. Like, it's pretty crazy how our body, um, our physical body is literally a reflection of our internal world. And because my internal world was me tearing myself apart and not loving myself, I literally was a reflection of that. Like my glow, I didn't really have much of a glow for a period of time. And like you could just tell that like my energy and my vibe was different, was very different. Even my hair over the years like became flat and dry and brittle and was breaking apart and this and that. And it's again because yes, maybe I didn't go to the right hairstylist, but it's also a manifestation of what was happening inside of me because that's kind of like how I was feeling as well. There was a period of time that growing up, I definitely did not love my body. Like I said, I didn't like my curly hair. I didn't like being different. I used to really hate taking pictures, which would be crazy, right? Because if you go to my Instagram page now, you would think that I've always loved taking pictures, and it wasn't always that way. It wasn't always this way, and I really want to emphasize that because I think it's important to share with you guys that it's a process and there's a journey involved, and that if I can do it, you can do it as well. Um, and of course, we all have our different experiences and stuff like that. And that's why it's so important to do the inner work. And there's different layers that comes with that. And it's literally a journey. Life is a journey. So, you know, the sooner that you start working on the inner stuff, the better your life gets to be. And for a while, I didn't know that. I had no awareness around that, right? And like I said, like I used to really feel ugly. I used to feel like I was the ugly duckling and that I wasn't photogenic. I remember, going to Costa Rica and visiting my family out there. And when we would take pictures, I would look up to my cousins, my girl cousins, like so much because I like their hair was just so beautiful and curly and vibrant. And they were like they would carry themselves with a lot of confidence, like confidence that I did not have. And so I would always like just admire that so much. Like I would really look up to them and be like, man, I hope one day I could be like that because like I totally don't feel like that. I feel so shy and so quiet and like, I used to wear glasses as well growing up and kind of like made fun of and I just didn't really feel beautiful and I always felt like everybody else around me was beautiful but me, right? And through the years of you know unpacking this feeling that I had inside, I I realized that I just didn't think that I was enough. And a lot of times, a lot of the things that happens in our life and the way that we feel about ourselves is because it the core feeling is that we don't feel enough. And a lot of the times, growing up, I would just point the finger, to others that, oh, they just don't love me or they da 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 da, or whatever the case may be, instead of like looking within that it was a reflection of how I was feeling inside. And I think a lot of that insecurity, um, when you start to do the inner work, you start to realize that it's so much deeper than what's happening in this present moment, right? That sometimes the present moment has nothing to do with what you're feeling inside. It has to do with something that happened to you in the past that you held on to and that you believe that that's just what it is. And so you live out your life reflecting that, putting that energy out. And so for myself, oh, of course, my battery. Give me 1 second here. Um, oh, I'm like, of course, the battery would try to die. Okay, we got it. We're good. We're good to go. um, and so yeah, so what I was saying is, for me, what I believe looking back and really reflecting and asking myself the tough questions, I feel like a lot of that insecurity came from my life in New Jersey. I was born and raised in Jersey, and it's no fault to my parents here either. It was just the circumstances. At the end of the day, my parents have always tried to protect me and be the best that they can with the knowledge that they had. And I was the first child too. So if any of you are like the first kid, the first child in your family, like definitely comment below, let me know, because then you'll understand this even more so. Because sometimes with the first child, we're kind of like the guinea pig with things, and they may not know how to handle certain situations or how to explain certain situations to you. And so sometimes, um, yeah, things can get just misunderstood. And, you know, like I said, it's no fault to my parents, but it was just what our circumstances were. And as a young little Hispanic curly hair girl, I just wanted to be accepted and loved. At the end of the day, that's what every child just wants, is to be accepted and loved. And I just didn't at that time, as a little kid growing up, I didn't really understand the complexity of our situation like I do now as an adult. As an adult, I can look at the situation and completely understand, like, just be yourself. It's easier to just say that. But as a little kid, I didn't really understand that. Um, and so, like I said, I was born in Passaic, Jersey, and even before being born, being in my mom's tummy, she went through some really intense situations. And, there was even a moment in time where she could have lost me too. And so it's important to understand these things because these are things that have added up over time. And it's about having, the reason why sometimes is nice to have this type of awareness is because it helps you to have a little bit more self-compassion towards yourself, self-compassion towards your family as well. Because a lot of times the tools that we have now, they just simply did not have. Like, the internet now provides us with so much information that we're able to look things up easily on our phone and kind of figure things out. But back then, our parents didn't really have that. They only had whatever they were taught, and and then it just kind of depended where they went from that point on. But you couldn't just go on the internet or figure things out as easily and as quickly as now. And I also know, like, in the personal development world, like these type of topics and conversations were just not normal. If anything, they were considered taboo during that time. So it's important to have that awareness so you can just have some compassion to what probably occurred in your own life growing up. And so, like I was saying, like my mom, she is from Costa Rica. Yeah, I'm half Costa Rican and I'm half El Salvadorian. Um, and my dad is from El Salvador. He met my mom in Costa Rica, fell in love over there. And then from there, they moved to America, for a better life. And, my mom basically pretty much left everything she knew and felt safe in and her family and her siblings and stuff and came here. And that transition wasn't so smooth, and wasn't so welcoming with open arms, with certain individuals that certain family members and stuff like that that they interacted with, that my mom had interacted with when she moved to America. And as a baby, we feel our mother's pain, our mother's sadness. It may not be something that's spoken about. It may not be something that she even tells me. Like when I was born, it's not like my mom was like, this is what I was going through. Like, you know what I mean? But it's about understanding that trauma can be inherited. A baby feels the mother's depression, anxiety, fear, all those things are felt because we are one, we are connected, we're a unit as I'm growing in her tummy. And so by us doing the work, by us doing the inner work, we can help stop those patterns and those issues from being passed down to future generations. And we also help just break those chains. And you would be surprised that by doing the inner work for yourself, you also help your ancestors and your own mother, like, also go through their own healing because they see you stepping into your power, and it kind of becomes a reflection for themselves to see that. And it may not always be the easiest thing. It can definitely be triggering, but going through triggers is not always, a bad thing. It's just sometimes there's moments in our lives that we have to just look at ourselves and ask ourselves some of the tough questions that a lot of us sometimes prefer to avoid. But then by avoiding them, you end up living a life that is not so fulfilling because you're avoiding to face yourself. And to just kind of go back a little bit with my history and stuff like that, just kind of going down my bloodline, I guess, there was also a lot of tension and history with my grandmother, and like I never got to meet my mom's mom because she unfortunately had passed due to cancer. So I never got to meet her. And so the only grandmother that I did have, and do have till this day, is my dad's mom. And it was always a relationship that I really yearned to have. I always really yearned to have a deep connection with my grandmother growing up because as a little kid, you hear all the other kids saying like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to my grandma's house, and oh, my grandmother made this for me, or da da da. Like, you always hear these things, and I never really had that type of close relationship that I always wanted. And um and there were certain things that she would do, like her behavior and responses to certain things throughout my life, um, you know, really created a lot of pain within me, because it just added on to my own self image of not being enough. There was a lot of things that I'm not going to go into it so deeply in this conversation here today, but just so you kind of have an understanding, like there was just moments in my life where I felt rejected by her. And those, even though maybe she may not have meant it or she just didn't realize what she was doing in those moments, it made me feel as a young little girl who doesn't, who's just learning about life, who doesn't know, between really good and bad. Like I'm just starting to learn these things as a little kid. It made me feel like I wasn't lovable. And that's those little moments that kept happening over and over and over again, you know, added up in me, added up to how I felt about myself and how I viewed myself. I was like, man, there must be something wrong with me, right? And it doesn't mean that these were conversations that I necessarily would, little kids don't open up and be like, I don't feel like I'm loved enough, or, they may not always express that. And for me, like my way of, I wasn't really like so expressive. I would say that I was considered to be like the shy one, the one that doesn't say too much. Oh, she's the good girl. She doesn't talk too much. She doesn't complain too much. Like, you know, she accepts. She's the good girl, and that may be perceived as a good thing, but there I didn't get to express a lot of the hurt and the pain that I was going through during that time. And so that made me believe in myself that, that I just wasn't good enough, that I wasn't lovable, and that I need to find a way to like prove myself, right, to the world. And so, as I started, and, that connection, um, honestly was what has been lost over time. And we have reconnected, a couple years ago. But, you know, that relationship already is no longer, it could have been something super beautiful. And I always desired it to be something super beautiful, but now it's different. It's different now. And so, but that's where forgiveness comes from, and I do forgive her, and I accept what was. She did what she did, and from what she knew best. And it was just honestly a reflection of herself and how she felt about herself. And it just comes to show that in life things are a reflection, and we're projecting like what we're feeling inside. And as an adult I can have that awareness, and as an adult I can make better decisions to break that pattern in our family and no longer continue that road of not loving ourselves, not speaking up, not speaking our truth, not owning who we are, not taking responsibility, like all those things. I can now see all that and make better choices now. So for the future generation, we don't need to continue on that, that pattern, that like it no longer needs to be passed on. We can be the change. And that's one of my purpose here, is to be that change for generations to come in my family bloodline, be that example. And what else did I want to say about that? And yeah, and so even as I was growing up as well, like even if my parents would tell me, oh, you are smart or you're beautiful, like I remember, like my dad, he always loves taking pictures. And one of his favorite ways to take pictures is like he'll come so close to your face and tell you to smile and take some picture. Like it was always so funny. He always likes to get like headshots all the time. Um, and I never liked any of them because I just didn't feel beautiful. The way that I saw myself was not beauty for a very, very long time. And even if my parents would tell me that I was, or tell me that, I have to love and accept myself, you know, it didn't really matter because I already created a self image within myself, and it was already like embedded in me, right? And so it didn't matter what they said, because at the end of the day, as a kid, you're like, well, you're my parents, you're supposed to say nice things to me. you know you're not going to tell me that I'm ugly. And so, yeah, so this insecurity inside me at that time had already added up over many, many years, ever since I was in my mom's tummy, right? This feeling of not being enough, not feeling like I'm enough, not feeling like I can be seen, feeling like I deserve only hand-me-downs and this and that. It's like these little experiences that you have that as a kid you just don't have the understanding or awareness, and so you interpret things in not always the best way, because you just don't have the awareness and understanding all the time as you do as an adult. and so yeah, and so in life you got to understand, like, things over time are always adding up, always adding up, always adding up, either for the better or for the worse. And that's why as an adult you have the power, like you have the power to change that for yourself. You have the power and the responsibility now, especially if you're listening to my podcast. Like, you have now been gifted with awareness and understanding. Whether I just planted a seed, like I said, my podcast is about planting seeds or activating you some way to look within, and it's up to you at the end to create that change in your life. You have to decide. You have to be willing to change. And, by having this image of myself, honestly, at the end of the day, it was like self-hatred, right? I know that may be a harsh word to say, but it's honestly the truth, though, right? We have to learn to be honest with ourselves. And like I said, I would tear myself apart. Like, oh man, I would say some really just nasty things to myself. And I think many times we just don't realize like what we're saying. And that's why if you've listened to my previous podcast about the power of our words carry a frequency, it carries an energy. And it affects our everyday life, that I was literally creating or attracting these experiences that were a reflection of my inner world, whether that it came to school, when it came to me, like, getting my degree. It was a reflection at my job. It was a reflection with the relationships that I had around me, or the relationships that I would get into. And of course, at the end, it was a reflection of the relationship with myself. For a long time, I just simply was existing in the world, just like everybody else, just kind of walking blindly in the world and not really realizing that what I was doing. I didn't realize what I was doing. I was just doing what I thought I was supposed to do, and accepting that this is who I am. And I would say excuses like, well, this is just who I am. Like, this is just who I am. I'm just shy. I have just low self-esteem. Like, I'm never going to be a confident person. I just accepted the fact that I was naive and shy. And that's because those are things that my parents would say, like, oh, she's just shy, or, type of deal. Or sometimes my dad would say things like, you're just naive, and constantly saying those things. I clinged on to that identity, that's who I was. I didn't know that I could change my identity and all these things that I know now. Um, but, this led to me led me into having a relationship that was very, very unhealthy, right? Once I was in college and stuff like that, I was in a 3-year toxic relationship. And because I viewed myself a certain way, I attracted that type of relationship, and I thought that that was love. I literally thought that this toxic relationship was love and that I did not deserve any other type of love. I didn't believe that there was any other type of love for me out there because of how I simply viewed myself. You know, I knew that the relationship wasn't healthy, but there was a program in me, a belief inside myself that I was not enough and that this is all I can get out of life. Think about that, right? This is all I can get out of life. This is the love that I deserve. That there that this is better than not having any type of love. And that's why, because of my mentality, because of my mindset, I stuck in that relationship for 3 years. When I broke up with him the first time, that should have been it. I shouldn't have gone back, but I did because of my self-image. And that's why it's so important to learn to love yourself, because when you truly love yourself, you don't fucking settle. When you truly love yourself, you stand in your power. When you love yourself, you set boundaries. When you love yourself, you speak your truth. When you love yourself, you respect yourself. But I didn't love myself. And so that's why I went through so much pain, through so much hurt. That's why I went through the experiences that I had, and I would numb myself, literally numb myself with drinking. If you heard my first episode, I talk about that. And like I said, it's because at that time I just didn't know that you could reprogram your mind. I was, what the heck is that? What does that even mean? Like I had no idea what that was. But the thing is, you know, the thing is that I I always wanted more. There was a point in time, like I always knew that I was meant for more. I always knew that I was meant for some form of greatness. I definitely lost my way along the way, but then there was always these moments of like, I don't know, I feel like I'm not living the life that I'm supposed to be living. Like that's literally what I would feel inside. And I would have this tug of war and I would see these little signs here and there. And I would just be like, I don't know, my heart just desired more out of life. And I honestly, at that point in time, how old was I? I was like 21, 22. Like I didn't love who I was becoming. I was literally hurting myself, throughout the process by doing really foolish things and blacking out completely out because I was just so depressed. I was so unhappy with everything in my life. And I didn't know how to like get myself out. Like it wasn't so easy to just like break up with somebody and just leave. I didn't have like that inner strength. Like I just didn't know. Like I was like, but how? But like what? I just didn't know. But that's the beautiful thing in life is that you're never alone. Okay, remember this. If you're ever going through a tough time in life, if you ever feel lost, just know that you're never truly alone. Because, like I said, right, what I just previously said, I saw signs. Like I noticed little things here, little quotes over here, little things. The universe was constantly speaking to me, but for a long time, I was asleep, right? And I was just walking and doing things on autopilot because I just wasn't aware. But as I started getting tired and tired of things, I just started to my heart was desiring more. I was searching for more. But I didn't know what that more was. And so I would do little searches here and there on Google. How to be happy. A simple search. How do I become happy? What do happy people do? Like just simple searches, and maybe I'll look at it for a little bit and then I forget about it. Weeks will go by, months will go by, but then something else will pop up in my reality. I'm like, you know and that's the beauty about life, is that even if you get lost on your way, your angels, your guides, God is always there. They're never gone. You're never alone. They're always trying to throw you like different little signs for you to see, planting little seeds here and there, hoping that you're going to wake up one day. And then that's when I started. There was a point in time, I think it was like a year before I ended the relationship. I like I started to read again. I never read books. Like all I did was just study for school. So the last thing I was thinking about was let me read a book about improving my happiness. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just don't think about that. You're not thinking about that in college. In college, they program you to party hard. And if you have any problems, go to happy hour, get free drinks, get wasted, and do it again. That's how you solve your problems in college. If anything, it created more problems for me, and that really solved things and put me in not the best of situations. But we live and we learn, and you know, I give myself a lot of love for that version of myself. And I always had a big heart. But anywho, like I said, during that time, you're not really when you're in college, you're not like, I'm gonna read books, I'm gonna read self-help books. Like you're not really thinking about that. You're just waiting to like go to work. Well, at that time, once I graduated, because I finished school pretty fast, because I am smart. But at that time, while I was still dating my ex, all you're thinking about at that point, you just finished school, so you don't even want to study. You don't even want to think about studying. You just want to make money and then party even more. And so I was doing that for quite some time. And like I said, I got sick and tired of it, that I finally decided that it's time. It's time to read. It's time to pick up a book. And one of the books was by Louise Hay. You Can Heal Your Life. And as you can see, it has like bookmarks and it's written, I highlighted so many things in it. And that book, along with other ones that I read, literally like activated me like nothing else. It opened up my mind like, wait, like nothing else. I was just like, what am I reading? What is this? It made me realize that the key to positive change in your life is self-love, is to love yourself. And I was like, what is this? Like, like I said, like you have to understand, like this happened 10, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, 11 years ago, a long time ago. Okay. So again, personal development, even during my time, wasn't really like talked about the way that it is now. Like now it's literally everywhere, that honestly, you guys have so much opportunity to change your life, that there's literally no excuse. You're just standing in your way if things haven't changed. And that's just me speaking Angie real talk here. If your life is not changing, the problem is not the job, it's not the boyfriend, it's not your friends, it's not your, I already said the job, oh, the government. The problem is you. And I know that could be a hard pill to swallow, but the problem is you. You're choosing to hide behind all these outer circumstances where what needs to change is here and here. Think about it. Take a moment to reflect on that. If you want a better life, you can literally decide this right now during this podcast. Decide right now that you are choosing to live a better life, because you are freaking worthy of a better life. You are worthy of it. It is your freaking birthright. Okay? You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve to be wealthy. And that's it, period. You don't settle for anything less. You don't accept anything less than that. But I can't decide that for you. Only you can decide that for yourself. Stop settling for less. You gotta stop it. Stop denying yourself for the things that truly light you up inside. Stop saying yes to the things that don't deserve you, that don't respect you, that don't value you. Stop saying yes to those things. Stop saying yes to the things that are bringing you down to a lower frequency. Like, no wonder why you're struggling to get out. No wonder why you may be struggling to love yourself. Because look what you're surrounding yourself by. And trust me, it's a journey. It is. Because there's going to be a moment in your life that you realize this and you make changes. And then as you start to level up and things start to happen, you may fall back to some of your old ways. But the difference is that now you have awareness, now you have understanding. And with that, you can make the changes over and over and over again. Because life is a journey. You're going to go through different experiences in your life. You can't predict everything, you know? It's about learning to have self-compassion for yourself. If you do fall back to old ways, it's okay. It's not about going back to critiquing yourself and tearing yourself apart and telling yourself, like, you see, you're so stupid. No, none of that. No criticizing yourself. We don't subscribe to that. It's when those are the moments that you gotta love bomb yourself. Those are the moments you gotta love yourself even more. Forgive yourself. Start romanticizing your life. Start romanticizing yourself. Because this is the vibration. This is the it is the vibration. This is the foundation, because you attract what you are vibrating at. Because we are all energy. Everything is moving. Everything is energy. Everything is literally vibrating. But what frequency are you vibrating at? So we're feeling resentful, guilty, self-hatred. That is literally energy. That is literally the frequency that you are vibrating at. Is like a radio station. You're tuning in to that channel. And so that channel is only going to have experiences of that. You attract what you are. Loving yourself is literally the best gift that you can give to yourself and to the world. By not loving yourself, you're doing a disservice. We need more people to love themselves. The reason why there's so many things happening in the world is because a lack of love. There's so much separation and this and that, and we need more love. We need to come back to love. You want to help the world? Learn to love yourself. Because when you love yourself, guess what? You are radiating love, which is the highest frequency that there is. And this concept blew my mind. Like, I learned that in this book 10, 11 years ago. It blew my mind. I was like, wait, what? I was like, what? Wait, no way. You gotta be kidding me. My thoughts are creating my future? Like, mind fucked. I was like, this is some Matrix shit. Like, what? The thoughts we think and the words we speak create our experiences. And then that's when I started to realize, and I started having little light bulb moments like, wait, so I can stand in my power. I do have power within me. I started to realize like my life doesn't have to be this way. I can attract more positive experiences in my life. You know, I started to just start, what all these questions just started to like just come at me. And I just started questioning literally everything in my life. And I was just like, what is happening? And the thing is, like, I didn't have anybody to even talk this stuff with. Like, I didn't, that would understand, like, what I was experiencing inside. I was like, wait, so I don't have to be so mean to myself? Now, understand, like, this wasn't an overnight thing. This realization, when it happened, like I said, it was a light bulb moment. But I didn't just read one chapter and be like, all right, that's it, we're done. I didn't just break up with my ex and then left my job and then, like, no, it was an internal battle because I was literally like getting, like, I was awakening and all these old beliefs are being shattered like in my mind internally, and I was like, wait, what, how how do we not know this? Why is this not being spoken about more, like, and I think it took like, I got the book and then it took like a year until I finally like was like, no more, enough is enough, I'm done settling. Because I truly wasn't happy. And it was such a strong desire for me to be happy in my life, such a strong desire that I started to literally like repel anything that was not bringing me happiness. Like going to my job, it was just like, I would have just like this ick internal feeling, and I just couldn't, like, I couldn't like get rid of the feeling anymore. It got to a point where I was like, things need to change. Like if they're not gonna change, like I need to do something different. Like something different needs to happen. And so I picked myself up, and like I said, I dissected this book. I took certain actions in my life, and I started to have an understanding of myself. And I gave the relationship a chance and this and that, but it was done so a long time ago. And loving yourself, remember this, loving yourself is a daily practice because our identity is formed by our daily routine, the way that you talk about yourself, the way that you know, your belief system. It's a daily thing. Like, what are you saying to yourself? What are the beliefs that you're holding on to on a daily basis? Because that's what's forming your identity. And so it was a daily practice. I remember like I would be at school, not at school, but I was a speech therapist during this time. And I would be at work teaching my students, my speech therapy students, affirmations because I started learning about it. And I was like, wait a minute, their way that they view themselves is that they're not enough. And so if I can teach them to start to love themselves and embrace whatever it is that they have going on, like I need to spread this. So I started doing more of that. I'm really like just having like all these realizations that I could do more. I need to do more in the world. Like where I'm at, like I'm not able to expand and grow and evolve. And so yeah, and so I eventually said, "See you later" to everything, and started a journey of self discovery, which really is what it was after that. Because after that moment, I didn't really know who I was, but I knew that I just wanted to be a better version of myself. I knew that I just wanted to say yes to more things that lit me up. I started saying yes to things that led me on this journey where I am, here I am today. The fact that I can even call myself a mindset and energy alchemist coach, like I never thought I was going to be here, but here I am. And who knows where I'm going to be 10 years from now, doing amazing stuff. I know that for a fact, traveling the world, being a leader. But just know that throughout the journey, like you're not meant, it's not meant to be done alone. And that's something that is, you need to remember. So if you're struggling, get a book. Get a book that's going to expand your mind. Take a free course, a free webinar. There's so many out there. I have courses, I have sessions that we can work through things. You're not meant to do this alone because on your journey, you're going to face resistance. You're going to have to face yourself. You're going to have to face your old way of doing things because you're literally reprogrammed. You're putting a new system in, you're installing a new system. So in order to install a new system, you got to release the old system. And as you release the old system, well, it's going to come to the surface. And when it's coming to the surface, those are things that you're going to have to like face. And the way to help yourself face these things, so you don't have to do it alone, so you don't have to go through such a long struggle, because you don't need that. You can diminish that struggle by so much. But it's by putting yourself in containers that are going to uplift you, that are going to empower you. That's why I have a free Facebook group where I show up on live on a weekly basis to help empower you, to help uplift you. That's why I have my TikTok. That's why I have my Instagram, where I'm posting things that are going to uplift you and empower you and make you realize your own power. Because that's what's going to help cut the time in half or more, depending. It just depends where you are at in your journey and how strongly you hold on to that identity. It takes time because also you got to remember that as you start to say positive affirmations or do become a better version of yourself, it's going to feel weird, it's going to feel unusual, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to be like, wait, I can feel love, I can love myself, I can look in the mirror and say I love you to myself. It's a process, it's a journey of cracking yourself open again, being reborn again, pretty much. Because a journey of like reparenting yourself. And it's about remembering that fixing the external, that is like so 1900s. We're in the 2000s now, 2024 to be exact. So in order to change the reflection, you got to shift your inner worlds. And what's beautiful is that so many people are becoming more aware of this. It's really, really beautiful to see the shift, the collective shift right now, because the way that it was before was like, it was unspoken. Like no one talked about it. Very rare. You'd be like, sure. Okay. Like, I guess. But now there's a better understanding of it now. It's more accepted now, which is really nice. So that makes the journey a little bit easier. So we're going to wrap this podcast up with buttering ourselves up and saying some affirmations to ourselves. And so what I want you to do is just take a deep breath. And I'm going to say a phrase and I'm going to pause so that way you can repeat it. And we're just going to love bomb ourselves right now to start this journey of self-love for yourself. All right. So let's start. I'm going to take a drink of water here real quick. And repeat after me. I allow the good to manifest in my life. I honor who I am. I choose to feel good about myself each day. I am enough just as I am. I am a unique, beautiful, magical soul. I love myself just the way I am. I appreciate all that I do. I love and approve of myself. I see myself with love. I am in the process of positive change. I fill my life with love. My happy thoughts help create my healthy body and my healthy mindset. I am beautiful. I am healthy, whole, and complete. The truth of my being is that I was created perfect, whole, and complete. I release all criticism now. I now choose to live my life from this understanding. I love my life. I am worthy of all the things I desire. All is well in my world. Awesome. Congratulations. So happy that you got to say some beautiful, positive affirmations for yourself. Affirmations are super powerful, especially, and I would probably suggest like go ahead and write these down. That way you can repeat them with more feeling and emotion. Put more feeling behind the affirmations that you say and say it to yourself in the mirror. Highly, highly suggest doing that. And that's going to over time. Remember, everything adds up and it's going to add more love into your life by doing this, by making it a daily devotion to yourself. And so thank you guys for sitting through this amazing podcast. It was really nice to share my story. So definitely go ahead. If you're watching the YouTube, subscribe, like, and comment. I would love to know if you had any aha moments or if you resonated with anything that I said or if you've had a similar experience. If you're listening to this on my Spotify or on my Apple, definitely subscribe to my channel, leave a review. I would love to hear any feedback that you guys have because it's always much, much appreciated. That's how you guys can put my channel out into the world so other people can also listen to the beautiful medicine that I have to share and help somebody else out. And then I would love for you if you really truly felt the message of this podcast, of this episode. I would love for you guys to share it on your Instagram, tag me. Again, I always love to see you guys. Your guys' feedback and support is always very much appreciated. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week and you got this. Remember, if I can do it, you can do it as well. So cheers to this new journey of self-love and discovering yourself because it is definitely the most rewarding one. Have a good one, guys.